See, $1 billion company is not something you target or aim for. You just do your work. We didn't have batteries for our UPSs. We knew बस इतना ही पैसा है, इससे ही काम निकालना है. The only thing I could think of is how many pizzas can I get for 8 crore rupees? If you have found something that makes money, keep on repeating it. Other .coms are sacking. We had our money intact. So as a leader, you have to be a sponge who's absorbing pressure and not transmitting it. Hi, I'm Sanjeev Bikhchandani. I'm the co-founder of 𝐏𝐴 and Ashoka University. I'm 60 years old and I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years.
Sanjeev, good afternoon and welcome to 𝐏𝐴. It's an absolute delight to have you here today. My opening question for you today, how does the leader Sanjeev turn people to believe in his or her cause?
We had been existing as a company for about 7 years. We were doing other stuff, teaching, training, salary surveys, some databases, some reports, some small-time consulting, some writing. So there was a small team of about 8-9 people already existing. These are not techies, these are not marketing people. They were some colleagues of mine who were slightly lower level. Now, we started with that team and I got on board 2 other people. One is a friend who was a techie, a freelance software programmer, and he used to work from home part-time for us. And I promised him 5% of the company revenue and I think 7-8% of the stock for doing the work. I did not give him anything fixed. And I also managed to get on board. The first gentleman is called Anil Lal, and the second person is Saroja, who had been a year junior to me at IIM Ahmedabad. And she was doing some freelance consulting type of work. And I said, why didn't you come to 3-4 hours a day in the afternoon and handle the operations? And I offered her fixed something, not a large sum of money, whatever we could afford, and also a share of the company, I think 7-9%, something like that. And that's how we started. So I managed to cobble together this team of very talented people actually, but who were part-time. And I offered them stock and they kind of believed, and they were able to spare the time because they were anyway doing freelance work, and they were able to spare a few hours a day to do this. And that's how we began. Once we launched Naukri and we began to get some traffic and then some revenue, we began to look like an internet company. And when that happened, around that time, the .com bubble started and VC funding began to happen and the internet was of interest to many, many people. That's when we were able to get a few other people. We raised venture capital. We got lucky on the timing. We raised it 2 weeks before the meltdown. So we got the money at a bubble valuation, but we didn't have time to spend it foolishly. So the next 11-12 months, other .coms were sacking. We had our money intact. We were hiring. We were able to get many talented people from other .coms because they were leaving and we were still hiring. And that's how it happened. So, you sort of, you are alive to the opportunities. You cut your coat according to the cloth. Hopefully, if you are a decent sort of person, you're able to persuade people. Hopefully, you've got a good idea with some sort of larger vision, which you can sell to people. Hopefully, you're trustworthy, so people believe you, and they trust you when they come on board.
Sanjeev, you refused a $2 million offer for a 25% from an American VC for a lower valuation from ICICI Venture. What advice would you give to founders racing to reach unicorn status today?
So that's not exactly what happened. So around mid-99, we launched Naukri in 97, and around mid-99, I began to get inbound sort of calls from investors saying, can we meet? And they would say, we're interested in investing. And one guy even put a number on the table, I want to put $2 million for 25%. Up until then, I was not tracking what was going on in the valley, just doing our work. Right? I didn't know about this .com bubble and VC. I didn't know what a VC was. I was very surprised because up until then, nobody had ever called me up to give me money. I'd been an entrepreneur for about 9 years by then. And then he began to say stuff which sort of I found somewhat concerning. We'll restructure your board, we'll add value, we'll list you on NASDAQ 1 year from now. And we were operating out of Trans Yamuna in a not very fashionable address, very poor infrastructure. We didn't have batteries for our UPSs. There would be power outage of 3-4 hours every day. There would be, the voltage would be 140, 160. But there was no way, we were going to build a big company in 1 year and list in NASDAQ and and then as I got deeper into strategy, some of the stuff he said concerned me. I said, listen, when he said $2 million, first of all, he had not been to our office. We were sitting in a coffee shop or a 5-star hotel in Delhi, okay, and meeting for the first time. And he'd seen the website, obviously. And he had flown in from overseas and, it was one of those quick gun kind of thingies. And I was a little surprised. I had $2 million, so I couldn't do the math. $2 million, $40 rupees then. And I somehow figured, okay, that's 8 crore rupees. Now, we were doing 2 lakhs a month of sales, and we were breaking even because I wasn't taking a salary, okay? And I said, 8 crore. crores, and I'm thinking to myself, and the only thing I could think of is, so how many pizzas can I get for 8 crore rupees at Nirolas? And I couldn't do that math. I was completely, blown away. But, you got to act cool. So I pretended it's par for the course. We were having breakfast, at Machan, Taj, Mansingh, right? And I said, okay, interesting. But what will you do with the money? I didn't know what I'd do with 8 crores. The company's doing 2 lakhs a month of sales. Main karunga kya? And he said, oh, very simple. You will spend it on advertising. That will build brand, and that's barrier to entry. Then 6 months from now, you will raise twice the money and 4 times the valuation from somebody else, right? And 1 year from now, we'll list you on NASDAQ. I'm thinking to myself, we don't have the capability to list in Paharganj. Talking about NASDAQ, this guy is smoking dope. So I told him, but I've worked in advertising and marketing. I know if you spend 8 crores on advertising, there is no way you can recover the money. So, and I said, right now we are profitable, we'll go into a loss if you spend 8 crores on advertising and then don't make 20 crores of sales. He said, there's a problem with you Indian entrepreneurs. You want to make a profit on the internet. Don't you know it's a new economy? You don't have to make a profit. That's when I figured that this guy is dangerous. I said, come back to you. I went back home and tossed and turned at night for 2 days. 8 crores is more money I could comprehend, in 1999. But finally, I got back and I'm saying, listen, I'm okay being a small company. We'll grow slowly, but we want to be profitable next year. And, we'll come back to you if you need money. Thank you so much. Life went on for 6 months after that meeting. Then anybody would call, I'd say no. Then Jobs I had launched, having raised $7 million prior to launch. They launched with a launch ad campaign that was, the cost of which was twice the annual turnover. We did 36 lakhs that year, and they spent 75 lakhs. They launched in the India-Pakistan cricket series in Sharjah. That's when we died of fright, and we said, okay, the game has changed. We can't be a 50 lakh rupee turnover company and make a 10 lakh rupee profit. So we've got to be a 5 crore rupee company and make a 50 lakh profit within 2 years. Now to jump from orbit A to orbit B, we have to invest money and make a loss for 2 years. So we need venture capital. So we went back into the market. Bubble time, we did 4 meetings only. I didn't hire a banker, I didn't hire a lawyer. I wanted to save money quite stupidly on bankers' fees and legal fees. I said, I'm smart, I can do it without bankers and lawyers, I'll do it. Which was really stupid of me, but anyway. So I went and met 4 investors. We got 3 term sheets. And ICICI Venture wasn't the highest, but they were speaking our lingo. Said, yeah, we know India's going to be long haul. Take your time. It'll take several years to build the company. We are with you for the long haul. Didn't ask us to list on NASDAQ next year. Okay, they were not in the valuation game. They were in the operating profit game. And that's what we were in. Because there was investor compatibility. The VC with the highest valuation was the international VC. The clauses in all the term sheets were roughly the same. The clause that gave me the most nightmares was something called a drag-along clause. That if you don't list the company in 3 years' time, we have the right to sell your company to a third party, including your shares. I said to myself, man, I tried to negotiate that clause, but nobody was willing to budge. I said, man, the foreign VC will actually try to implement it and sell the company. The Indian VC, I can have a conversation and persuade him, I think. Because you see, a foreign VC will, I think that you can actually go to court to implement a contract in India. The Indian VC knows that a contract is a clear communication of rights and responsibilities and duties. It's not actually to be pursued in court, but it takes 20 years to pursue anything in court. We wanted somebody rooted in the Indian context to be our investor, and we got that with ICICI Venture.
Sanjeev, you convinced people to leave stable jobs with multinationals and join a young startup during the early years of InfoEdge. How did you manage to attract right talent at a time when people were more conservative about startups?
First is spotting. Okay, how do you spot a guy who's good and who might want to come? You can spot 100 people who are good, but maybe 2 will want to come. So you're constantly looking at opportunities to onboard good talent early on. So Hitesh had come because he got a job offer elsewhere and he came for advice. I spent 4 hours with him, and then at the end of it, I told him that why don't you consider joining us? It might be better for you and we'll be better off for it, right? And after 2-3 meetings, he came. Ambrish Raghuvanshi, our CFO, our first CFO, he was a chartered accountant, MBA from XLRI, worked in banking for a large part of his career, had just taken a VRS from Bank of America. So he was at a loose end. He was financially okay, but he's taken the VRS, he's bought his house, he's got his nest egg in the bank, And I met him through a common friend. I said, we said, why don't you join us? And he came. For Ambrish, it was a low-risk option because he had, he was on a VRS. And he said, yeah, I'm thinking of it. If I go back to another bank, it's the same thing. Maybe I can try this for a year. I said, try it. Come on board. He came.
Sanjeev, you have valued frugality and turned InfoEdge profitable from early on. Then came the competition from VC-backed startups ready to burn cash. How did you navigate the profit versus growth equation while keeping InfoEdge still ahead of competition?
So I think it's possible to do. Actually, it was possible to do for us. We got fortunate maybe. But at that time, a really good founder in times of capital scarcity. And post 2000 there was capital scarcity. The meltdown had happened. You've got to cut your coat according to your cloth and somehow achieve your targets on sales and on product development and innovation within the money you have. So it's about balancing three things. कि product भी बनेगा, engineering भी होगी, innovation भी होगी. One bucket. Second bucket, sales भी होगा. Third bucket, this is the money we have, and only this much money. So I'll tell you what happened to us. So we raised money in April 2000. Market melted down within 2 weeks. Now, because we had bootstrapped the company for 10 years, we knew the value of money. Because we ran Naukri for 3 years and broken even, we knew how to make at least small money on the internet. Because we had run for 10 years with no money, we knew बस इतना ही पैसा है, इससे ही काम निकालना है, और पैसा नहीं आएगा. So stay frugal. Armed with these three things, we sort of began to make baby steps. So I remember around August, September 2000, 6 months after we raised money, Hitesh had joined and he came and said, listen, you're selling through direct mail. Why don't we hire 4 salespeople and put them in the market? And I said, sure, we had this money in the bank, 4 salespeople won't cost too much. So Hitesh hired 4 salespeople. Now, the average cost of the salesperson then was 22,000 rupees a month, 22,000 rupees. Salary plus commission plus conveyance plus mobile phone bill plus, we had shared computers all over, rent, cost of interiors, per month, depreciation on laptops and desktops, they were all shared, right? It was 22,000 rupees a month. Within 4 months, the average salesperson was generating 50,000 rupees a month of sales, headed north. Naukri has zero variable cost, which means 28,000 rupees margin tha. It doesn't cost you any money to put one extra job on the site. And this 28,000 rupees is headed north. And we said, hey, this is cool. We had found what we now call our repeatable, profitable unit, which basically means that if you have found something that makes money, keep on repeating it till you generate so much surplus that you're able to recover corporate overheads. So we kept adding salespeople. We kept opening offices in different cities. In 2 years, we had 241 salespeople across 11 cities. And we had grown 35 times and we were profitable again. We made small losses for 2 years. So I think if you can find your repeatable, profitable unit as a startup, execute relentlessly on that, you'll be okay.
Sanjeev, you brought in Hitesh Oberoi early on and he grew to lead InfoEdge as the MD and CEO. What are some of his leadership qualities that you really admired?
Hitesh was 28 when he joined us. He had been working for roughly 4 years, maybe a little less than 4 years when he joined us. Around the time Hitesh joined, we raised venture capital. A little after that, we hired 7, 8, 10 senior people and got them on board. A few worked out, a few did not. Hitesh really worked out. I thought he was super bright. I thought he had practical smarts. I thought he would be very good at execution. I thought he would think very quickly. And all of these things panned out. But look, you're taking a bit of a bet when you hire a 28-year-old. We took that bet, it worked out.
What is the most important character or attribute in taking an idea from paper to $1 billion company?
See, $1 billion company is not something you target or aim for. That's a valuation the market gives you. You just do your work. Okay? What you want is a good, solid, sound business that's delivering for customers, delivering for shareholders, delivering for employees, and you're fine if you can handle these 3 things. But it starts with a great idea or a good idea, and it starts with people to actually make it happen. A good idea depends on a customer insight. Do you have something that the customers want and need? Is it solving a problem, unsolved problem? Is it filling a need gap? To get people around you, I think the single most important quality of an entrepreneur is the ability to build trust across the table with prospective employees, with current employees, with co-founders, with potential investors, with potential customers, with whoever you interact with. Do you create trust across the table? And now you can only create trust across the table if you are a trustworthy person. So are you a trustworthy person?
Sanjeev, as a leader and a founder, how do you balance being compassionate with your team yet pushing really hard for results and growth?
You don't have to be rude to people to get performance. You don't have to yell at them. So as a leader, you have to be a sponge who's absorbing pressure and not transmitting it. So if there's stress coming onto you from your boss, your peers, circumstances, external, it's coming onto you. Your job is not to transmit and amplify pressure. Your job is to absorb it and then get work done. So if you can be a sponge for pressure and stress and not transmit it to your colleagues and subordinates and your team, I think you'll be a slightly better leader. Some of my early bosses, whom I learned a lot from, no matter what the stress, what the pressure, they were relaxed and cool. And because they were relaxed and cool, I felt comfortable and I worked better.
How do you think CEOs and founders of today should be measured on success versus, let's say, a couple of decades ago?
Our methods of assessing founders have not changed. Judgment may have changed a bit, but our methods or the parameters by which we like to assess have not changed. I think you need founders who are A, humble, B, personally frugal, C, willing to play the long game, which means stick it out, because success takes 10, 15, 20 years to come. Right? D, have practical smarts, right, on execution. Then have commercial smarts on how to make money. I think integrity is important, very important. It's at the foundation of everything. I think people skills are very, very important. There are 5 or 6 things we look at, and but these are kind of hard things to judge because a lot of them are intangible, especially when you're investing behind a 28-year-old person. Will he be a good people's person when there are 5,000 people in the company? How do you assess that? Now, will he treat his minority shareholders well? 10 years out, how do you assess that? These are judgment calls, but we keep thinking and talking about that.
When, according to you, Sanjeev, is the right time for a founder to bring in a CEO?
In none of our companies, we invest in 100 startups, have we ever advocated a professional CEO from outside. We believe that high-quality founders are the best people to take the company to scale. And if we don't believe that this founder's got it in him to do that or her to do that, we don't invest.
What are you telling people, common man employee who's worried about AI, what's it going to do to them 5 years or 10 years out?
Well, we are saying you may have to reskill and do a different job. If what you're doing is automated, we will give you every chance. We're not trigger happy.
Sanjeev, there's a fair sense emerging around what's AI going to do to jobs, workflows, tasks. What do you think it's going to do to leaders and people?
So first of all, I don't think it's absolutely clear what AI is going to do to jobs. That's evolving. People are making assumptions. A few jobs are being automated, but it's not as if it's totally widespread yet. So it's still work in progress. We're waiting and watching. Now, what it's going to do to leaders is, look, what did COVID do to leaders? What did the global financial crisis do? It's a fresh challenge, it's a fresh opportunity. But I think leaders will be tested on how they treat their people. Will you instinctively downsize because you can? Will you try and somehow make sure that the people, they stay with you and you find productive work for them while incorporating AI? I think that's a question. I'll give you a little example. So in the year 2020, there was a lockdown. COVID happened, and I think March 24th, India lockdown. A bunch of companies downsized and sacked people. We were fortunate, we had cash in the bank. So Naukri sales, Naukri is the sort of mainstay of our company. Naukri billings growth was minus 43% in the April-June quarter that year, with no light at the end of the tunnel. So it was a crisis. We didn't know what would happen. We asked our CFO a simple question. If increments are 0, if marketing expenditure is 0, and revenue is 0, so revenue 0, marketing expenditure 0, increment 0, how long can we last as a company without sacking people? And the answer came back 3 years. We had a lot of cash. We took a call saying we won't sack anybody, right? And we did not downsize. For us, it is a question of values. It's a question of the fact that acknowledging that, look, it is our people who have built this company. It's a question of, you can't let them down as it is. They're very, very stressed about COVID. There is no vaccine, there's no known cure, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know what's going to happen. And we simply said we'll not sack. And we did not sack. As things happened, it was a good business decision, but we didn't know it at that time. So to me, that is the test of the values and character of our leadership. Likewise, a similar thing happened in 2009 when there was a global financial crisis. For 2 quarters in a row, Naukri sales growth was minus 26% YOY. Again, no light at the end of the tunnel. We simply said, it's okay, we will sacrifice profits before we sacrifice people. When tough choices have to be made, that's when leadership is tested. We were fortunate that in both times, not downsizing was the right decision. Sometime in the future, it may not be the right decision financially. What we'll do then remains to be seen.